Our topic is integrating JavaScript into our web page. We will see now how to integrate our JavaScript into our web page. Topic name is integrating JavaScript into web page. First we will see some discussion about integrating JavaScript into web page. So mainly we will be having HTML. HTML is used to present DOM, document object model, and next JavaScript is used to manipulate DOM. JavaScript is integrated into a web page by using any one of the following methods. We have three methods. By using three methods, we can integrate our JavaScript into our web page. We will see what are those three methods. First one is inline. Our next method is embed. We will see an example of these three methods. And third, we have external file. In external file, we can write our JavaScript programming. Then we have to attach it to our HTML page. We will see example how to do this. First, we will discuss about inline method. Inline. So what is inline method? Inline is a method. In this method, the JavaScript functions are defined within the HTML element. HTML element is nothing but a tag. For example, we have so many tags. Inside those tags and tag tag is nothing but a element. Inside that element we will define functions so that they are individual and accessible only to that specific element. For example, I am writing a function for one div element that is accessible for only that div element. It is not accessible outside to that div element. We will see example. First we will make a note about this. In this method, the JavaScript functions are defined within the HTML element. So that they are individual and accessible only to that specified element. We will see one example how to develop a JavaScript with web page by using inline method. Just open any, we have Visual Studio, go to Visual Studio Code. Create a folder inside UI tech, like I will mention it as JavaScript. So in this our JavaScript programs will be there. We will create a new file, like I will create a file with name sample.html.   html. So we have our HTML web page. First we have to mention document declaration, then document scope. Inside document scope we have head section and body section. Inside head section I want to use a title tag. I want to give a name called like, now we are developing inline method JavaScript integration into our HTML page. So we will give name as inline script. Inline script. So in body I want to use a div tag. Inside this div tag we will use a form tag. Inside this form tag I will use a heading h2. Click on print button to print home page or to print page. Then I want to use a input tag. Inside input tag I will give type as button. I will give some value like submit. Then here we will use JavaScript. In JavaScript we have some inbuilt events like we have on click event in our JavaScript, and we have a browser object model called window. Inside window we have a method called predefined method print. This print function internally it uses some properties and methods. By using this window.print method our page is going to print from our browser. On click is a event used in our JavaScript. Now we will execute this. Just save it first. Ctrl S. I have saved it. Just open any browser and type http://localhost/ and our directory name is Hemant / our folder name JavaScript / sample.html. So my JavaScript page I am seeing in my browser from my virtual directory. So this is what I have written in my Visual Studio Code. I have used h2 heading tag, click on print button to print, and I am using on click event with a function called print from window object. So I want to check whether my JavaScript code is working or not. So now this is a static page. I want to make it dynamic by using JavaScript. So just click on submit. Yeah, it is showing print option to print my page. Then I can cancel. Whenever I click on submit, it is opening a print tab in my browser. So that means whatever the code I have written in my Visual Studio Code is working. Whenever I click on submit, this on click event is rising. Inside this on click event, I am using window object with print method. Then that print method is after calling that print method, this print tab is opening to print our web page. By using this print option, we can print it. Now nothing is there to print, just cancel it. I just want to show you how we can work by using JavaScript. Just cancel it. Next we will discuss about embed method. Second one, embed method. So how we can use our JavaScript programming code in embed method in our web page. We will see with example. First I want to make a note about this embed method. In this method, the JavaScript functions are defined within the page by using a script tag or script element. So that the functions are accessible to any other element in the page. However, functions of current page are not accessible to elements in another page. So this is what embed method in JavaScript, how we can implement our JavaScript code in embed method. Embed method is nothing but a method. In this method, the JavaScript functions are defined within the page by using a script element or script tag. So in the initial classes, we have discussed that each section will be having title and style and script and meta. We have seen all those. So at that time we have discussed about script tag, so that we are going to use now. Script tag we use in head element inside head tag, so that the functions are accessible to any other element in the page. If we write our JavaScript code in our script tag of our web page, then all the elements can access those JavaScript code, but outside of that page, our whatever the code we have written in script code will not be accessible. Only for that current page, whatever the elements we are using, for that current page, whatever the script we have written, it will be accessible. We will see an example how to implement embed method. Just open Visual Studio Code. I want to create a file. Just like sample 01.html, doc type, HTML. Inside HTML we have head tag and we have body tag. Inside head tag we have title. Inside this I want to write, like, we are using embed method JavaScript, right? I just want to mention embed script. After this, in body I want to use a div tag. Inside div tag I am going to use font tag. Inside font tag I am going to use a heading. Inside this I will write click on print button to print page. We are executing same program, but we are changing the methods. Before we have implemented the same code, but we used inline method. Now we are implementing the same code but with embed method. How we can execute by using embed method, I will show you. Now I want to use input tag. Inside input tag I want to give type as button, value, submit, or we will write print instead. Now we are not using any inline method codes. We are using a script tag in head section. Inside script tag, I want to write a function, like I will give a name called print page. Inside this function, I want to call window dot print function. I have to call this function print page in my input tag. Just write on click. Here we are not using any predefined code. Here we are calling a function of our own function. Whatever we have written like print page, we are going to call by using on click event. Just write print page. This is my method. This is my function. So what happens when this code executed? After clicking on button by using on click event, execution process will go to my function called print page. Inside print page, I am calling window.print method. Then a window will be opened to print my current page. This is how we can execute our JavaScript by using embed method, by using a script tag in head section. Just save it, Ctrl S, open browser. I want to execute my program. Our program name is sample01.html. sample01.html. This is our file, right? HTML file. Click on print button to print page. Just click on print. Yeah, it is opening a window with print option and it is showing my page to print this page. And we have print option, we have cancel option. This is how our embed method will work with JavaScript. We will discuss some points about embed method. Whenever we are using embed method, you should not forget to specify script type, because HTML document can use various types of scripts which includes both client side as well as server side. That's the reason you have to define the script type while writing the function for your document. We will make a note about this. Specify script type a HTML document can use various types of scripts which includes both client side as well as server side. Hence, you have to define the script type while writing the functions for your document. You should not forget about this point. I will show you in our web page. Just go to Visual Studio Code. This is our HTML page and we have script tag. Inside the script tag you have to use type. In type you have to write text/JavaScript, and also you have to write language name which you are using. Language is equal to JavaScript. Then browser will understand we are using JavaScript language in our script tag. You should not forget about this when you are writing a JavaScript code by using embed function. Program execution will be same. Just click Ctrl S, save it, refresh it. Nothing is changed. I have just used Just I have mentioned a type, we are using JavaScript, and I'm telling to my browser I'm using language called JavaScript. Next we will see JavaScript in strict mode. JavaScript in strict mode. So what is JavaScript in strict mode? JavaScript we have discussed in before video lectures. JavaScript have browser incompatibility issues and it is a native language for every browser. That's the reason it is recommended to write JavaScript in strict mode so that developers can use only the programming techniques that are understandable across all the browsers. This is the most important point you should not forget. You have to mention your JavaScript file with strict mode because browsers will be having incompatibility issues. To come out of that problem, the developers can use, we have to use JavaScript in strict mode so that developers can use only the programming techniques that are understandable across all the browsers. We will make a note about this. JavaScript have browser incompatibility issues and it is native language for every browser. It is recommended to write JavaScript in strict mode so that developers can use only the programming techniques that are understandable to all browsers. JavaScript have browser incompatibility issues and it is native language for every browser. That's the reason it is recommended to write JavaScript in strict mode so that developers can use only the programming techniques that are understandable to all the browsers. How we can use JavaScript, how we can use strict mode in our JavaScript code, we will see that. The strict mode is defined by using the keyword use script. This you have to use in your JavaScript code to come out of incompatibility issue problems. I will show you how to execute our JavaScript code by using use script. Just create a HTML file sample02.html. This is my HTML web page. First you have to use document scope, document declaration, then HTML. Inside HTML we have head section and body section. In head section I want to use script tag. Inside this I will write a function called f1. It's just a random name, and in this function I want to print some integer value like x is equal to 10, document dot write I just want to print this x is equal to 10 in my browser. I have to call this method f1, just save it, Ctrl S, go to the browser. Our HTML page name is sample02. Press enter. Here I am seeing my x is equal to 10 value, but I am not using any useStrict command, useStrict code in my scripted code. This is without using strict mode. Now I want to use strict mode. Just after script tag, use strict, save it, Ctrl S, go to the browser, refresh it. You are not seeing the value x is equal to 10. Why? The reason is it is invalid. X is equal to 10 is invalid because it is not declared. To make it valid expression, you have to declare this variable. But how it is executed in before without using useStrict, you will get a doubt. That is the reason we have useStrict to use useStrict, because if you use useScript, JavaScript programming technique follows JavaScript related programming techniques. So this is browser incompatibility. Before we have not used useStrict. That's the reason x is equal to 10 value is visible in browser. We are not using our JavaScript rules and guidelines in before script. Now we are following some rules and guidelines of our JavaScript. We are using useStrict. When you are using useStrict in your script tag, everything should be according to JavaScript rules and guidelines. Otherwise, your code will not be visible in browser. Your code will not be executed. So now I have to declare this x variable. How you can declare a variable? Use var or let or const. Var we use in JavaScript to declare a variable. Now I am using var x is equal to 10. Now my x value is declared as var. Just save it, Ctrl S. Now go to browser, refresh it. Yeah, x is equal to 10. X is equal to 10 is visible in my browser. That means whenever I am using useStrict mode, our script tag follows some rules and guidelines of our programming technique. That's the reason when I am using just x is equal to 10 without using useStrict, our x value is executed. Whenever I am using useStrict, my x value is not executed because I did not declare my x is equal to 10 by using var. Var is nothing but to declare JavaScript variable, we use var keyword to declare a variable. We have let const also to declare a variable. Next we will see how to execute our JavaScript code by using external file. JavaScript in external file. In this method, our JavaScript functions are defined in a separate script file with extension .js, means JavaScript file, and that file we have to access from our web page. We will see an example how to do this. First, I want to make a note about this. In this method, the JavaScript functions are defined in a separate script file, and that file that have the extension .js. .js files are JavaScript files, so that the functions are accessible from any page. If you use your JavaScript functions in a separate external file, and if you want to use the JavaScript functions in a single HTML page or any 2 HTML page or 3 HTML pages, directly you can include your JavaScript external file into that HTML page. You can execute your JavaScript extension file in hundreds of HTML pages by including your JS file. We will see example how to do this. However, using external file will increase the number of requests to a page, as well as the page load time also increases. When you use your JavaScript functions in a separate .class file and you are using the .js file in multiple HTML web pages, so it will increase the number of requests to that page, and also page load time will be increased. We will see an example how to use our JavaScript from external file. Sample 03.html. We will execute our print function, but now we are going to use by using external file. Create one more file called external.js. This is my .js file. So you can use this script tag. Just copy it and go to our .js page, paste it. This is my external file. I want to print x is equal to 10, or else we will use print function in this. Window.print function. Method name we will give same f1, not issue. Now this external file I have to link to my HTML page. How you will include your external file to your HTML page, we will see now. HTML head section, body section. In head section we have script. Inside this script tag, I will use src attribute. Inside this I will mention my file name. My external JavaScript file name is external.js. I have added my external.js in my HTML page by using src attribute. Like this, you can add your external file in multiple HTML files. This is the advantage of external file. Now I have added my external file to my HTML page. I will just write a heading tag. Click to print. I will use input tag. Inside I will give a type called button. I will give a value with print. Then I will use onClick event. Inside this we have to call the function which is there in our external.js. Go to our external.js. Our function name is f1. Go to our HTML page. You have to call our function f1. Close the input tag. Just save it, Ctrl S. You have to save external.js also. Now we are calling f1 function from this external file. Go to our browser. Our web page name is sample03.html. Sample03.html. Yeah. click to print. I'm clicking on print. Yeah, my print window is opening from my browser. That means whatever the logic I have written is working. Whenever I click on my print button from this by using onClick event, execution process is going to my external.js. External.js is an external file which I am using from external file. I am calling f1 method. Then it will go to external.js. It will call f1 method. In f1 method I am using window.print. That's the reason it is opening print window in my browser. This is how we can execute our JavaScript logic by using JavaScript external file.